Hello everyone, welcome to Books Amaze. My name is Avni and today is going to be a reading wrap up for the month of May. So I read total of 7 books in the month of May, which I know is not that big of a number, but still I managed to read one more book as opposed to the month of April. Okay, so let me click. Okay, so let me quickly talk about these books and I'll be sharing my mini reviews about these books as well. So the first book that I read was Train to Pakistan by Singh. That was a lovely book. It's amazingly beautifully written and you all should read this book if you haven't read this book yet. Many people ask me that we want to read some historical fiction and recommend books about historical fiction. Then this one is a must read in your bucket list if you want to read historical fiction. It's about the partition of India and Pakistan, and the story is set up in a fictional town called Mano Majra, where there's this peace and harmony as opposed to all the other towns in India at the time of partition. And then there comes so many characters in this story who wants to have riots in this place and who wants to send all the Muslims of Mano Majra to Pakistan. And then there happens lots of twists and turns in the story. There's also love story going, and then there are beautiful characters of the Daku Jagga, then his love interest Nooran, then the magistrate Hukum Chand and Iqbal, and there are so many beautifully written characters. The ending is so unexpected and so surprising, but overall there's just this beauty in the writing. It feels like there's this river flowing throughout the book, and you'll never know when you have completed this book. I completed this book in just one day, in some few hours, but still the effect that this book had on me was for so many days. I just couldn't get out of it. So definitely you should read The Train to Pakistan by Singh. He was actually a very eminent author of our country. He was also awarded with Padma Vibhushan. So there's no reason that you should not read this book. So definitely go read this book. I have posted, or I might be posting, a full review of this book on my channel, so you can go check out that video as well. Now, talking about the next book that I listened to in an audiobook format was Seriously I'm Kidding by Ellen DeGeneres. Listen, I am such a big fan of Ellen. I have watched hundreds of videos on her YouTube channel, and I just love her personality. Many people say that she is very narcissistic, but I don't care. I love Ellen. And I just love the way she talks. I love the way she handles the interviews. I just love her personality. And I wanted to read this book from so long, and I fortunately encountered this book in the audiobook version. And I loved the audiobook because it's moreover narrated keeping in mind that someone is listening to this book. So there are many snippets in this book and Alan is actually talking to the listener that since you are listening to this book, I am going to do this and this and this and that. And it's so funny. It's just a hilarious book that I've ever read. It's very funny. So this might not sound funny to some people who don't know who Ellen is or who might not be following her that much, but for me it was a really funny book and I loved the way this book was narrated. So especially if you want to read this book, go for the audiobook copy. Okay. Now the next book that I read was again in an audiobook format. It was Eat That Frog. I was gonna say Eat Pray Love. It was Eat That Frog, written by Brian Tracy, and I actually read this book because I wanted to include this book in my video of top 5 productive books that you should read. I remember that I read this book eons ago in a paperback format, and I remember that I was awestruck when I read this book because it is so concise and it's just to the point, and it just talks about all the 21 habits that you can develop in order to be more productive. And the main idea of this book is that you should eat a frog, which is actually a metaphor that you should do your most challenging task the very first thing in the morning, so that you will get this sense of satisfaction that you have probably done the worst thing that you could do today in the first thing in your morning. So you have now this whole day at your expense and you can do whatever you want. So you can prioritize your least and most important task accordingly. So it's a very important book if you want to read books about productivity. So yeah, Eat That Frog. Next, I read some books which were some review copy. One was Invincible You, which was written by Mahmood R. Sharif, which was a non-fiction book which mainly talked about how you should fight your fears and how you can come out of any situation which you thought that you might not come out of it. And the author talks about very many situations from his own personal experiences which he thought would be very difficult for him, but he somehow fought with it and came out of it bravely. And it's based on Indian background, like the author joined NCC, he went to camping to a hill station. So all of those situations, all of the backgrounds are very relatable to us as Indians. So yes, definitely give this book a try. Another book that I read again by the same author was a fictional book which was called Silk in Destiny, which was about this spoiled brat called Jordan Williamson, who is the only son to the billionaires Williamson's family. And he is very rude to people around him. He is rude to his parents, to his house help, to his girlfriend, to his best friend. And he is involved in all sorts of bad things that you can think of. He is involved in gambling, he is involved in drinking, he cheats on his partner. So he does all of the bad things that you can think about. But then there happens a twist in the story which gives this character, Jordan Williamson, a whole lot of transformation, and that twist is actually very interesting to read, and the whole story turns around from that point in time, and it's very beautifully written. The book is very short, very fast paced, so I actually included this book in a new series of mine which is called Authors on the Rise, in which I'll be including, or I'll be talking about those books which I think are worth your read. And the next book that I read was again a fictional story which was called One Imperfect Family Reunion. And the strong point of that book was it was sort of inception. Like there was a story inside a story, and then there was again a story inside that story, which was very new to me. This sort of plot was very new to me, and the whole story was very dramatic, but in a good way, and it felt like you're watching a movie. Writing style wasn't something that impressed me that much, but still it's a very impressive attempt, and the story itself is very engaging, very interesting. So yes, if you like to read dramatic stories, or if you like to read stories about families, about union of families, then you should definitely give this book a try. And the last book that I read was again a book that I listened in an audiobook format, was 12 Rules of Life or 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a person whom I look up to a lot. I have watched several videos of him. I've listened to a lot of his interviews, I've listened to a lot of his talks, and I think he's very intellectual. He knows a lot about philosophy, and when it comes to philosophy and knowing about topics related to philosophy, he is the person that I look up to. And in this book also he talks about 12 rules for life, meaning 12 rules that you should definitely follow in order to lead a good productive life. And I loved how he has described these rules. They are very unusual, I must say. They are not something like which you will encounter in every other book, every other self-help book. So for example, there was a rule like you should stand up straight with your shoulders back. There was a rule such as you should always tell the truth. There was a rule called being precise in your speech, which I loved, by the way. So yeah, needless to say that I really like this book. I can listen to Jordan Peterson at any time of the day. And if you are also a Jordan Peterson fan, let me know in the comment section below. I know that we are going to be best friends. And also tell me what are the books that you read in the month of May. I want to look out for your recommendations as well. Okay, so I hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that. And I haven't forgotten that I have to give the notification shout out for the day, and the notification shout out for the day goes to Barnika B. Thank you so much, Barnika, for taking your precious time to comment on my channel. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you guys with another video very soon. Till then, you guys take care of yourself, keep smiling and keep reading. Bye-bye.